Okay, come on.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back.
Welcome back.
My name is Celeste,
My name's Kathy.
and today Kathy's gonna tell me a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is, but she said it's gonna be spooky, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Okay. Hi guys. Today I am going to be telling you about the Jackie Hernandez haunting.
Ooh, okay. I've never
Yeah.
heard of this before.
Let me tell you all about it.
Okay.
So our story starts in November of 1988 in San Pedro, California, just outside of LA.
Okay.
And at this time, Jackie was 23 years old and she had just broken up with her husband. And so she was moving out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she had a 2-year-old named Jamie, and then she was pregnant with a baby. They had had a rocky relationship, and so it was just kind of a tumultuous time. Like, she was still trying to finish school and she was working a few jobs, and she had these 2 kids, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of intense, but she was still pretty hopeful for a new beginning. Like, she knew she was young and she had her whole life ahead of her.
Mm-hmm.
So a month into her living in this new house, weird things started to happen. Like, she would hear noises coming from the attic, and she would see these like orbs of light the size of a baseball. And
Whoa.
yeah, and her cat would try to catch the balls.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the cat also, like, she was sketched out. Like, when Jackie let her outside, she didn't want to come back inside. Like, it seemed like, you know. And Jackie thought that maybe it was the pregnancy that was making her hallucinate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which I don't think hallucination is part of pregnancy, but like probably maybe that's what they told her at the doctors, because at the time maybe they were like, you're hysterical, you're a woman, naturally you're hallucinating, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. She later mentioned this, but at the time, one of her biggest fears was somebody breaking in, because it would just be her and the babies, you know. And so when the paranormal activity started, as scary as that was, it was also a little bit comforting, because she didn't feel like somebody would break in now. Like, she felt kind of comforted by that.
Yeah.
But that didn't last for too long.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
About a month later, she was still experiencing stuff. It sounded like pebbles coming down from the stairs, like, and so she would hear that. She would also hear like high-pitched noises multiple times in a row. It was so creepy. And Jackie felt uncomfortable doing just like regular household chores, because any kind of movement amped up the activity.
Ooh. That's creepy.
I know, dude. What the fuck?
No. This is creepy and interesting. I'm already hooked.
I'm so glad.
That's sad that you lost interest in it for a bit.
I know. It's because of my depression, but I started the Lexapro.
Yes, you did.
So in February of 1989, that's when she had the baby Samantha, and the activity still continued. This was like a few weeks after her birth. She would have to get up a lot in the middle of the night frequently, and she got up one night and so she did have to get up a lot during the night because she was pregnant and stuff, and also I don't know why, maybe because of the activity. Yeah, so she would get up a lot, and one night she woke up to the sound of hard breathing next to her, and she was like spooked awake, and she was like, oh my god, what was that? She decided to go to the bathroom, and when she was headed to the bathroom, she saw like an apparition of an old man that was like sitting on her son's bed, cross-legged.
Oh no.
Yeah, he looked like he was in his 60s. He had this like gray complexion. He was wearing a red flannel shirt, and he just like looked really skinny and like just like creepy.
What?
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
I know, on her son's bed. So creepy.
Oh no.
And she looked away for a second, and then when she looked back, he was gone.
What the hell?
She would go on to see this apparition a bunch of other times, and she said each time he had this like mean, menacing look on his face, and she always felt uncomfortable.
Oh wow.
Yeah. This is a quote from her. She said, I was pregnant at the time with my daughter, and I frequently had to use the bathroom. I always woke up once a night. That's when I saw the apparition sitting on the bunk beds twice. He was very pale in appearance, and he looked as if he was very angry and evil at the same time, which made me feel uneasy.
Ooh.
It wasn't like a friendly, welcoming type of thing. It was like he was very angry, and then little by little, more and more things started happening. I remember one time I woke up and all of the window shades in the house all went up spontaneously, all at the same time, really hard, and that freaked me out. That's when I saw the apparition sitting on the bunk beds. Isn't that so eerie?
That's so creepy.
I know.
And why was he so angry?
I really don't know. I really don't know.
That's so scary. What the frick?
So later, she decided to go into the attic for the first time to like clean it up and just kind of explore what was up there. And the whole time, it kind of felt like something was either standing behind her or like watching her. And so she turned around and she saw this disembodied head, and it was floating, and it had glowing red eyes. And it wasn't the same man that she saw. It was another one. This guy was like chunky. And yeah, and it caught her so off guard that she says that her legs just like gave out under her.
I feel like that would happen to me.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
I know.
That's like the scariest thing I can imagine. That's so scary.
I know.
Cause it's not like Harry Potter, you know? It's not like when they're sitting at the dinner table and like the headless horseman comes and, you know? Like that's not scary. When you think of an apparition, you don't really think about how scary it actually would be, you know?
Yeah, in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then another time, Jackie had her friend over, Vicky Zivkovic. They were hanging out when suddenly they heard a crash downstairs, and so they both go. And when they go, it's one of her big. It was like a larger painting. It was on the opposite wall, propped up on the countertop. But what was weird is that the nails on the wall were still perfectly intact. Like it's not like they fell, and you know, yeah, they were still perfectly intact.
Oh. That's so eerie.
Yeah. Vicky Zivkovic says, in the beginning, it's all we talked about. Everyone thought we were crazy.
Oh, I feel like that's personal. Her art?
Yeah, dude. I would be pissed.
I would be so mad. I'd be like, this ghost is getting out.
I know.
Today.
That would have been my final straw.
Yeah, straight up.
No offense to Jackie. Just, you know.
No, yeah, no offense.
So another night she had her friends over. One friend was sitting at the table near the kitchen and the other friend was sitting in the living room. And they all saw this cup glide across the table. It was filled with pencils. It glided across the table and then it fell. And all the pencils went everywhere. Yeah. Just on its own. And then another night, Vicky was over and she was headed to the bathroom when she heard a voice say, "Don't come in here." Yeah. And that same night, Vicky and Jackie were doing the dishes, and they were doing the dishes together when they noticed this weird, gooey, like orangey red substance, like coming out of the dishes, like, and on the sides of the cabinet. What? She took a sample and then we'll touch base on that later.
Whoa, that's weird, but that reminds me of the demon house.
Yeah.
How there was like weird gooey stuff on like that oily substance on something.
Yeah, exactly. I thought of that too.
Huh. You should watch that video. Our
Yes,
demon
you
house
should.
video that Kathy does. That one's a good one too.
Is it real? Is it fake? Do you believe in it? Go watch it and tell me.
Yeah.
There were other times where Jackie had friends over and the friends also experienced things. Like Jackie had this day bed and it looked like it would collapse. The bed would collapse a lot, almost as if there was another person also on it putting more weight on the bed.
Then there was supposed to be.
Yeah, because there would only be like one person on the bed. And the bed would crease too, like the sheets would be creased as if somebody was also laying on the other side.
Oh, that's so eerie.
I know. One day, Jackie and her friend Susan Castaneda were taking a walk and they bumped into Jackie's landlord. And Susan told the landlord what was going on. And the landlord was like, "You should have a priest over to like exorcise whatever's in there to get it out of the house."
Okay.
And
fair.
yeah, Jackie, honestly, she probably was at her tipping point at this point, you know, like, damn, she's been so she was like,
so
absolutely.
Creepy,
Yeah. She invited a priest over. This local priest came, and when he went there, he determined that it wasn't the house that was possessed, that it was Jackie.
What?
Yeah, and so he freaking called CPS, Child Protective Services, on her.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy. I was not expecting that.
I know. He called. So they came over. CPS came over because evidently he said that she was using drugs, stimulants.
And was she?
No.
What the heck?
No. So nothing came out of that. So luckily nothing came out of that.
Well,
but
thanks
still.
for absolutely nothing, sir.
I know.
Like, what the...
Jesus, like that's
Wow.
literally your job, your God-given job.
Your God-given job, and it's the one thing you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So yeah, luckily nothing came out of that, but there were still creepy things happening. Like she would still have to clean up that orange gooey stuff from the kitchen, and there would be like objects flying around in the house, and she was losing it. She was just like, "Oh my gosh, what is this like unpredictable power that is like messing with my family?"
Oh, that sucks so bad. Like the one person that you're expecting to help you puts you through that, and then you have to go back to the haunted house.
Yeah,
by
literally.
yourself.
Literally. Yeah. So Susan saw this parapsychologist on TV and she was like, "You should call him." And Jackie was like, "Okay, I will." So she calls this guy. In August of 1989, she contacted Barry Taft, and he had been working for the University of California for the past 20 years. He had covered like over 3,000 cases.
Wow.
3,000 paranormal cases.
Wow.
Yeah, and he thought that most of them were fake and not like worth pursuing. He thought that there were a lot of like embellishments and stuff out there, fabrications. He, however, did believe that Jackie was experiencing something real.
Wow. Okay, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, here's a picture of him.
Cutie. How you drew a heart over.
He later recalls, "During the interviews, we kept hearing what sounded like a 200-pound rat running around in the attic." I'm like, why a rat? What do you think? It's something else? It's kind of funny.
That's
And
so
creepy,
creepy.
yeah.
I mean, that is a random reference though. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
Creepy.
that's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
It's not, to me, the reason why he used the reference rat is because it sounds like it's on all four legs. And it's like skittering around, you know?
Ooh. On August 8th, 1989, Barry visited Jackie for the first time. And she was like telling him everything that has been going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then a little later is when Barry Conrad showed up. He was a photographer / investigator, as well as Conrad's assistant, Jeff Wheatcraft. And they also brought Larry Brooks, who was a sketch artist.
Okay.
So this is Barry Conrad right here.
Oh, cute.
And this is Jeff Wheatcraft.
Okay.
Jeff is kind of hot.
He's kind of...
Yeah, what's... Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie said that Barry looked like a little kid on Christmas when he showed up. Like, he was so excited.
Whoa.
And Jeff, however, was super skeptical about the whole thing. Like, it almost seemed like he didn't even want to be there.
Oh.
He was like, "I don't believe in this."
Okay.
But they brought all this cool, like, Ghostbuster stuff. Like, they brought, like, image intensifiers, infrared detectors, just cool stuff. They talked to Jackie all together for a while, and then everybody went off on their own. And Jeff was taking pictures of different spots that she had reported activity around, and then just, like, random objects and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. Imagine. I mean, I feel like it'd be scary to be a part of that, obviously, but all the equipment and stuff, that sounds cool to me.
Yeah, definitely same. Some of them reported feeling overpressure, kind of like the air felt really heavy.
Whoa.
And it was hard to breathe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And yeah, so Jeff was he was the only one that was still like a little bit skeptical about everything, so he volunteered to go up to the attic. And at the time, Jackie had been chatting with the artist Larry Brooks, and Jeff came down, and Larry was like, "Did you see anything up there?" And he said no, but it did feel like something was watching him. And Jackie, she related to that because that's how she felt too when she saw the disembodied head.
Oh, okay.
They were like, "You should go back up there and take a picture over your shoulder to see if you see something, to see if the camera captures something." And so he agrees. So he's going back up there. He takes his 35mm camera and he starts taking pictures. And then he feels something yank the camera from his hands. And he ran back down the stairs, the little pull down attic stairs. And he was so scared. He was shaking. He was pale as a ghost because he just saw a ghost.
Oh.
And it was an expensive camera, so he was like, "I'm not gonna leave that up there, so I do have to go back up there." But this time, Barry Conrad was like, "Okay, I'll go with you."
Oh, thank God.
So, yeah, they bring a flashlight. But then, oh my God, and they found the camera facing down, like on the ground, and the camera lens was taken off. and it was like across the room in a barrel, like in a wooden barrel. And it doesn't just come off, like you have to know how to take it off.
Yeah, there's like a button, like for some there's literally a button you have to like push to release it. That's crazy.
And the whole time there was this like horrible smell of like something rotting, maybe. Ooh. It was like intense. They also had a video camera up there as well. However, interestingly enough, you guys, it lost power and it stopped recording 1 minute into it, so none of that interaction was caught. Yeah, it had fresh batteries in it, but it wasn't working, and when it was taken downstairs, it was working again.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so creepy. I really wonder what these because it sounds like there's more than one. I wonder what they are. Like, are they angry? Are they, like, what, you know?
Let's find out.
Okay.
Just kidding. Do we ever find out?
Maybe.
Really? You know what I mean? As the men were leaving the attic, Jeff felt a cold, bony hand push him down the stairs. And he didn't lose his balance, but it like really hurt him. And so he went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed that he had some intense internal bruising.
Oh my God.
Isn't that insane?
These ghosts are...
Yeah.
You might want to bleep that out.
They really are.
They're violent.
And Jackie could also relate to that because she had also been pushed by one.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's where I would be like, yeah, I can't live here. I mean, I think at the first sign of eeriness,
like,
you know, like, or me feeling
like a malevolence,
yeah.
Yeah. When he and Conrad returned to the main floor, they were hearing footsteps in the attic. And Jackie had her hand on the attic door and someone yanked it from her hand. And they also heard like scratching and pounding.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy that this was all happening when they came over. It's just like, it makes you wonder what Jackie went through alone, you know, that she didn't talk about.
Exactly. Jeff looked into the attic one last time and he saw 3 flashes of light and then a large dark mask drift across the room and disappear. And the next day he saw an apparition of an old grayish man. Yeah. And he and Connor found a picture from the night before with a flash of light in it. And yeah, they took like 24 to 36 pictures like all together of these lights in the house.
Oh my God.
Here's a picture.
In the attic?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Do you think those were 3 separate spirits? Or one spirit with 3 orbs? Creepy.
I really don't know. So one night, Jackie calls Barry and she tells him that she has been assaulted. That one of the ghosts threw a can of Coke at her head. Yeah, and she was freaking out and she was on the phone with him and there were objects flying around and she was like, I can't stay here, like I'm ready to leave. And so Susan comes over for support as well as Conrad and Jeff and their mutual friend Gary Baum. This time Gary and Jeff went up to the attic and they could smell something putrid again. Conrad and Jackie were downstairs and they saw some floating orbs in the laundry room.
Oh.
And they also heard what sounded like somebody snapping their fingers and they also heard some moaning coming from the attic.
Oh.
Yeah. Jeff decided to go back up there again, like after the fact. And this time he took a flashlight and then he accidentally drops the flashlight and he's up there all alone.
No.
Yeah. And then just then Gary spins around and sees Jeff and he was hanging from a clothesline around his neck. And it was stuck to a hanging nail on the beam. Yeah. And so he was like hanging. But like before then, the whole crew had done a thorough research up there and they had never seen a nail or anything on there. And here's a picture of this when it happened. Yeah. And he had some gnarly red marks around his neck from that time. And then this was him coming down. He was super freaked out. Yeah. And then downstairs...
How did they snap a picture of him? That's crazy.
I think maybe...
Maybe it was automatic.
Yeah, I think because, like, he was up there, maybe they were ready to take a picture.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Yeah. And downstairs, there was a red mark that appeared on Jackie's baby's forehead. It looked to be, like, grease or lipstick or something. And to Jackie, she took that as the entity being like, don't tell me not to mess with your kids. Like, I can do whatever I want kind of thing, you know? And so from there, they left. It was, like, 3 a.m. and she took the kids and she got a hotel. Even leading up to this event, like there were still other things that happened like for weeks before it let up, and some of it was like dangerous, and some of it wasn't. Some of it was just like odd. Like one time they saw the floating balls of light when she was hanging out with Susan, and one of the orbs flew behind some dolls, so it looked like the dolls' eyes were glowing.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was like super creepy, obviously, but not like malevolent, you know?
Yeah, just scary.
Yeah, just super scary.
Ugh. That.
Again, still, there was that goo that was coming out of the cups and the cupboards in the kitchen.
Oh.
And this time, Jeff took a sample of it and he took it to this lab that was near UCLA. And they determined that it was heavily oxidized blood plasma of a human male that had a really high amount of copper and iodine.
What?
And then a few weeks after the hanging incident with Jeff, Jackie decided to move over to a neighboring town. It was like 3 hours away, Weldon, and she moved to a trailer. And for a while, the activity stopped. And although she divorced with Al, he would be like, he hung out a lot like around the house before they like separated again. And he had some activity too. Like one time he was back at the San Pedro house. He was watching TV when somebody said, "Get them the hell out." And at first he like his initial reaction was like, I can't get them out, this isn't my house, you know. But then he was like, who said that? He turned around and there wasn't anybody there, but it was like clear as day. Isn't that so eerie?
I really hate that.
Yeah. On April 1st, 1990, Jackie's neighbors are helping her move a TV when they all see the face of an old grayish man appear on the screen.
On the screen?
Yeah. As if it were a reflection, you know, like of somebody like in there with them. And from there, the activity persisted. Like some doors would open up by themselves. The sofa levitated a few times. And she would even see like skeletal figures standing outside of the yard and like faces in the windows. It was really messing with her.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Yeah.
Poor lady, man.
I know. Oh. On September 24th, 1989, Jackie moved out of the trailer and into a house, and she had a few friends over and a psychic over as well. They were going to try to make contact with the entity, and she also invited Jeff and Barry Conrad over to record it and to experience it. And Jeff and Conrad interviewed all of the neighbors about what they may have seen, and afterwards Jackie was like, let's pull out the Ouija board.
Oh no.
And so Conrad sets up 2 cameras to record the session. However, neither camera was recording despite having full batteries again.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. So Jeff and Conrad, they sit down and they place their hands on the planchette, and Jackie is going to be the transcriber, so she's ready to write things down. They ask the spirit to identify itself, and it's spelled out SME. And throughout questions, they determined that one of the spirits was maybe not from Earth, like from hell. And the temperature dropped, and then the tables were shaking, and the candles went out one by one, and there's like pounding all around them.
What?
Yeah. And her friend / babysitter, Tina, she was there, and she was watching everybody really closely because she was like, she wanted to see if there was anybody that was faking it. And so she was watching everybody, but nobody was doing anything sketchy. And so they continued asking it questions, and they determined that the spirit was born in 1912, and it was held underwater in the San Pedro Bay in 1930.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that so odd?
That's so creepy. How and why and like what? That's...
Yeah. They asked it why it kept coming for Jeff, and it spelled out, he is the likeness of my killer.
Oh.
And Conrad asked who it hated, and it spelled out Jeff. And then that's when Jeff's chair started to drag, and then he was like aggressively slammed against the wall.
Oh my gosh.
He said, I felt like I was hit by a huge boxing glove. That's exactly what it felt like. This was a small trailer, but when I hit that wall, I could just feel the trailer give, so I knew I hit this thing really strong. I knew I had to get out quickly. I left the trailer, but the strange thing about this whole thing is once I was outside the trailer, it felt like there was something that was compelling me to go back in there. Everyone else was even telling me, you look strange, there's something weird about you. And I felt like I kept looking at the trailer, and I felt like I had to get back in there. Once I was back in there in the trailer, it seemed like I was okay for a while, and the place was real cold. So cold in the trailer that we had to light a fire, and we stayed in there all night.
What?
Nothing else happened to Jeff or anybody else, but they did determine that whatever it is fed off of their fear and their emotions.
Oh.
And Jeff later said, "You know, people have asked me, do you think this thing was huge? Do you think it was powerful? Do you think it could have killed you?" And like I had mentioned before, yeah, I think especially during the hanging, I felt like it could have killed me. As far as power, oh yes, it had power. There's no question about it. I wish we'd had this thing on tape, and if the camera wouldn't have failed us, we'd have this thing on tape. But you know, even if we'd had it on tape, somebody would have accused us of rigging the thing like they always do. There's just no way around that. They have to believe us. They have to believe this.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
That's so scary.
I know.
Poor Jeff, man.
Dude, for real. And in the documentary San Pedro Poltergeist, True Haunting Ghost Story, Tina Lawler, the former babysitter, she is interviewed, and she says that people warned her about getting the job, but they were like, oh my gosh, the house is haunted, like you shouldn't go work for her. But she admired Jackie because she was like, she isn't taking the ghost crap, and she's like fighting it, so I wanted to help her. And she said that she would see these red slashes on the wall appear, and Jackie would just paint over them.
Whoa.
And yeah, and one time it spelled out Jackie in red letters, and same thing, Jackie just painted over it.
Whoa.
Yeah. She also said that she saw the imprint of a face burned into a duvet one time.
What?
Yeah. And then another time, Tina saw a skull on the ceiling, and Jackie told her to take a picture of it, so she did, but she wasn't able to capture it. Oh. And it just scared her so bad that she dropped it, and she was like, I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She said that night of the Ouija board session, Jeff did not seem like himself, like towards the end of it. And she also refused to babysit the kids like in the house after that night. Like she still babysat them, but not like in the house. And that night after the Ouija board, like after that happened, she took the kids to her house and she placed like a little cross, you know, in the room with them. And when they woke up, the Jesus was missing from the cross.
At her house?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I know.
That's so eerie.
Yeah.
That poltergeist is like, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you think you are.
Yeah. Like, it's going after everybody.
Yeah. We both left those stickers on.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, so after she took the kids, they continued doing the seance. They continued the seance until the sun came up, actually.
Whoa.
And Barry and Jeff were really frustrated because none of it was captured. Yeah, after the seance, the haunting seemed to subside. Like, it was almost like they were satisfied with the opportunity to tell their story type thing. So later in May, Jackie went to see Susan in San Pedro, and they saw a ball of light the size of a baseball float outside her window and over the fence into the Harbor View Memorial Cemetery. Yeah, they decided to follow it, and it was like 13 blocks away, but they followed it. It was 13 blocks away from her original apartment.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the ball of light led them to the grave of John G. Damon, and he had owned Jackie's house from 1910 to 1913.
Wow.
Yeah, and Conrad, he found a local article in the paper from 1930 about a man named Herman Henriksen, whose death was suspected of foul play. He was found under the San Pedro Wharf, which is like a dock. They thought that it was Herman's spirit that was haunting them doing the more intense things, and that the previous owner, John Damon, was the one doing the harmless haunting. However, neither of them had names that matched what the Ouija board said, SME, and also Henriksen didn't drown.
Oh.
So it's like not for sure either of those. I don't think.
Interesting.
I don't know. But then in 1990, Jackie and her kids moved back to Los Angeles, and she experienced a few paranormal things before it eased off. Her kids, they were pretty young when this happened, and so they don't remember it. I think Jamie had like a couple of nightmares, but they were fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. After Barry closed his examination of the case, he noted that Jackie's stress probably added to the power of the unpleasant spirits. And in 1991, Conrad's new cleaning lady told him that she saw an old creepy man in a red flannel. And at the time, she was living at her boyfriend's house. She didn't know Jackie. She didn't know the story. Like, she had no connection to this case. So it was just like eerie that she would see him in Conrad's house.
Yeah, what?
Creepy, right?
Yeah.
Barry Taff, he said that he only knew of 1 or 2 other cases in which the spirits have followed the person. He said, quote, "In the history of the paranormal, that there have been a handful of cases, maybe 5 cases, where people have been harmed or injured. This is the first case I've ever been on where the phenomena went after the researchers." Jeff ultimately thought it was a poltergeist with a lot of electromagnetic energy, but it also must have had to have had some kind of intelligence to know how to take off the lens on the camera.
Yeah.
And then in 1986, Jackie, Conrad, and Barry Taff returned to Jackie's first home where the activity started. They went with the filming crew for the show A Strange Universe, and the hosts Emmett Miller and Dana Adams were there too. They were ready to report the evening. They reported hearing cracking noises and pounding from the attic. The audio and visual equipment was faulty that night. Yeah. The crew spoke to the landlord, and he said that the longest tenants they ever had was a 6-month tenant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like a lot of tenants have reported like things flying around in the kitchen items being found in other places, like hearing creepy things. And Jackie was not the last tenant to experience activity there. Also, side note, Barry Taff, he obviously accomplished a lot in the parapsychology world. He went through like a lot of health issues. He's going through some health issues, and so one of his good friends started a GoFundMe for him. And so we'll link it in the show notes because
Thank you for including that. That really sucks that he's going through that.
Yeah. The Jackie Hernandez case was super popular at the time. Like, overall, there were a total of 50 radio and television episodes about this, as well as 10 written publications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just crazy because, like, so many times, like, the lights were captured from different sources, you know? 24 to 36 just with Barry's team. And then those images were sent over to professionals, too, like an entomologist, a physicist, and an image analyst. And none of them could find any evidence of tampering or a logical explanation for what the lights could be.
Oh.
And they also had a photograph expert look at Jackie's pictures. Same thing, they couldn't find any evidence of tampering. And he also said that it would be a really difficult picture to duplicate even in a lab.
Oh my god.
So yeah, some people thought that it was a poltergeist, that it wasn't like a spirit, that it was just Jackie's nervous and negative energies manifesting themselves into activity.
Whoa.
And that it spread to others as she interacted with them. Like it just fed off of their fear and stuff. Other people think that it could be more than two spirits, you know? Like you mentioned, interestingly enough, like a lot of the podcast stories and articles say that it was two, that it was Herman and John. So it's interesting that you thought that before I had mentioned that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that she was lying and that she just made this up and that Conrad just like went along with it for some reason. Ultimately, it's like, how do we know? How do we know?
Yeah.
Jackie, she is now an office manager for an accounting firm, and she said that she's more scared of dying now than she was before because she believes that the ghosts that were haunting her were actually in hell. But she also says, in hindsight, I think I was fortunate to see and experience firsthand something that most people never see. And that was the story of the Jackie Hernandez haunting.
Wow. That was so creepy.
Yeah.
I can't believe how recently this all took place.
Yeah, literally.
Like, that's so creepy.
Yeah. We're gonna finish our makeup. Be right back.
Okay, we're back.
Hey, thank you for being here. I hope you liked the story. Let me know in the comments. Let us know if you have
loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
It was so good and spooky.
Thanks. It was creepy, huh? If there's any stories you want us to cover, let us know. We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. I love you. Have a good day.
Love you.
Love you.
If you ever